Hello, this is Cuberized and welcome to my Craftoria Let's Play. Well, I'm down in the magic area and between episodes I moved the waypoint over there. It's still called the magic zone and trying to set this area up for all my magic needs. And again, haven't really done anything here, just given myself a little bit more space with the waystone moved out. And also between episodes, I crafted up another sink so I can have one down here. And I set up the alchemist cauldron that we had already crafted. So all I did is I pulled up some of the wood floor and put some of the blackstone bricks down. It kind of goes with the color that's already in play with some of the other blocks here for iron spells and spellbooks. There is a campfire underneath there, which is why we're getting smoke going up. And then I just put the cauldron there. Put a couple buckets on the wall. So I can easily manually refill this if I need to. My staff in hand is in my offhand. It's the Artificer's Cane, which we also made last time around. And what else? Anything else? I did make a couple of the Protective Runes and then I ran out of pufferfish. So Protective Runes are made by 8 pufferfish around a blank runestone. And I've been finding these, but you can, once you have one, as you can with other things, if you put one here and surrounded by runestone fragments and an arcane ingot, you can double them, which is nice to be able to do, especially if you're running low. I don't have that problem at the moment. I don't know where I put them, but I may have put them back in here. Let me check. Yes, I have a whole bunch of fragments and a few blank runestones left. 32 blank runestones. So these will go quickly if you have to have 8 of these to make an orb. So the orb I'm trying to make actually takes an empty upgrade, which is not complicated to craft. We've already got these things. I think I have enough cinder essence, but yeah, it's these that for every orb you make, you're going to need 8 of these, and yeah, with the number of empty or blank runestones I have, I'm going to get 4 more and then I'm done. So this I did make last time. And I want to kind of go over what some of this stuff is. So, first thing is, we were talking about spell books last time, and there's various kinds with, a certain number of spell slots. Like this has 6, this has 10, these have 8. This will actually, if you apply it to a spell book, let's say you really wanted to be a fire mage. The rest of these, this is nature, this is evocation, and this is nothing. The one I have on me is ender, but and it already has 12. But let's say you really wanted to be a fire mage, and you can take this blaze instruction manual, which already has 10 fire spell power, and this, and put it in the anvil, and then you can see it gives you an extra spell slot. So you go from 10 to 11. No negatives, just go up there. So the more of these you make, the more you can increase this. So obviously going from 5 to 12, it's probably better to just get another book. But if you're talking from 10 to 12 and you really want the fire on your spell book, this is one way to do it. You need 2 of these. This, by the way, is yeah, that I think is how it's made. But let me look at lesser spells. And I may have just heard, I can't spell lesser, S-E-R, there we go. Yeah, this is exactly it. So you need the hog skin, which again you get from hoglins, and the best place to get that is in the nether. And then arcane cloth, and that is just arcane essence around any block of wool. So that'll make that. So there's how you can do that. So that's a nice way to be able to upgrade, especially if you know which magic focus you want, whether it's fire or whatever. And let me put this away here as well. Okay, so now looking at the spells, I went through and tried to figure out what component goes with which spells. And so when you're actually trying to use this table, which I need paper for, which I put a bunch in here, you put ink in here and you have to put the focus item. So some of these focus items are easier to get than others depending on what you have. Because I have spawners, the blaze and the ender are really easy, and the emerald to some extent. So these are easy. Emerald can be mined, that's not a problem. The frozen bone, the blood vial, and the bottle of electricity is we're going to call electricity the challenging one of the bunch. But this is very specific, and thankfully I found some, and I found some of these as well, the blood vials. The pearl, what's it called? Divine pearl you can make by just, this is simple to craft. And of the crafting ones, probably the easiest thing to craft. This is by far the hardest. And yeah, I thought this one was a poisoned potato, but I'm finding the poisoned potato associated with the sand. And these are kind of the one-offs I've found that don't go with any of the 8 categories behind me. Is there's sand that I found, and I've also found radiance. And radiance is an echo shard. So crafting these are actually not bad. You just have to keep harvesting potatoes until you get them. Or you can, yeah, there's no, you're apt to find them, and as I said, mining is just an easy way to get them. Or not mining, farming potatoes is an easy way to get them. The echo shards, there's limits to the number you're going to get, and you have to go into the deep dark and look for chests. So there's that. And this is another one. This is called a shadow scale, and it actually is used in here to create a type called shadow. So there's this whole category of shadow. If you look in your inventory and then do like iron and scroll, you can see all of the crazy scrolls. And I think I've actually learned, I don't have that one yet. Okay. There's actually one of these I don't have. Okay. But there's, this is abyssal. This is another category. Ender we already know about. And evocation is another one we've got, as is holy, which is the divine pearl is used for that. And then you got fire and ice. But this is the sand. This is kind of like we're not really sharing what this one is. And then you have the nature, which we have a chest, a barrel for, and ender and everything else. So, but there are some categories here that, where's it at? That, like this one, these are the shadows. not even something you can specialize in. And there's Radiance, Eldritch, there's only a handful of them. So there are some things out there that are a little bit more impossible to get at. Uh, but I just want to make you aware of that in case you happen to find one, that these are, you know, not easy to come by, and neither are these shadow scales. So just be aware of that. So that's what's going on here. With something like the shadow, you have to actually go through 121 pages to find this. But this is where you can find out the emeralds are used for evocation, and then you go into ender pearls are for the enders, which makes sense. So what I've done is I've put them up here, so their corresponding item is with them. The weird thing was is I did not see a nature scroll being able to be crafted in Scrollforge. And here's where the shadow scale comes in. These are the radiance ones, which I have a couple of, and actually this is a glowing mushroom. It's not the echo shard. What is the echo shard used for? Here's overgrown bone, and this is a very specialized mushroom which you have to craft. Here's your charred bones. I mean, it's some pretty, which is fire, which I actually thought was, yeah, so you go through and it's changing the ink type and to get you the different levels of different spells. Why did I think it was blaze? Well, hopefully nothing has changed. Now I feel obligated to scroll through here. So, yeah, these I don't have. This gets you the abyssal, which are these crystallized coral. Yeah, and these coral fragments. Here it is. Is this not? Oh, this is eldritch. Oh, yeah, wrong thing. Okay. Yep, this is eldritch, not that. So yeah, trying to keep track of what is what, and I think this is wrong too. But neither here nor there. The point is, and I'll double check that. These are, yeah, somewhat challenging to make. So when you get a scroll, and I did this here, a couple of things to note is, well, first thing is that there are 5 types of inks. Common, uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary. You can find this, but I think you have to kill a boss to do it. I crafted this. And to craft this, you can do it either using scrolls or using ink or using a combination of the two. And I'll go over that in a second. But let's say you've got 2 scrolls here. I have 2 scrolls, level 2 oak skin. They're common. I only need 1. I don't really need 2. So what you can do with the leftovers, so let me take this and let me take some of this, is, let me see if there's any other, I haven't sorted these out yet. Yeah, I haven't sorted these out yet. So let me get a bucket. So how this works. Well, actually, before I go there, there is actually a book, and I wanted to do this on camera. And I don't think it's called book. It's, yeah, you can actually make these book stacks are very cool. These are all spell books. That's a spell book. I think it's called something else. Ooh, vampiric, that's cool. Yeah, it's not called that. Let me find it quickly, hopefully. And it wasn't with, I don't think it was with these. But there is a, yeah, there's two pieces to iron spells and spellbooks, or iron mod. There's the iron spells and spellbooks side of it, which is this part, and then there's the jewelry part, which is where you can craft your own rings, and that's where these sort of gems come into play that you can find. And there is a specific jewelry crafting table that goes with that. So I will probably set that up down here as well in this area. And I'll get into that in a different episode. But what I'm still looking for is where the manual is. Is that it? Yes, I think that is it. So let me see. It's called the Chronicle. Let's craft one of these guys up. Assuming I still have arcane ingots, which it looks like I do. Okay, one Chronicle. So this is, I'm not sure this is what I thought this was. Nope, this is not what I thought this was. Wrong thing. Not the worst thing, but not the thing I was looking for. That's not it. So it's not the Chronicle. What is it called? No, it's not that, and it's not that. Nope, that's not it. Nope, that's the blaze. Alright, well there is something. Let's try, in fact, let's just do this. I think it's supposed to be a, by the way, we're gonna have to do a library here soon so I can clear this out, because I have, in a good way, lots of enchanting books. But yeah, I also have lots of books, but that's a whole nother thing. Where is my... Weird. Am I out? Oh no, that would be bad. I am spelling it correctly. I don't seem to have any. Unless I didn't bring it down here. Oh no. Great. Okay, so this is going to be the shortest tutorial ever because I'm out of arcane essence. No, I'm not. Okay. There it is. Alright, I think it's just... There it is. What is this called? Iron Guidebook. Well, that would have been helpful. It's a patchouli thing, it's not an iron... Okay, that's why I couldn't find it. It's a... Patchouli probably does all the guidebooks. Yeah, does a lot of these guidebooks. Catch it for derps. Okay, so, alright. Chronicle of Shadows. That's Apotheosis. Okay, so then we have the ones for some reason are down here. Twilight, Animal Pen, Just Dyer's Guide, Iron Book. Okay. So we got it. Did I actually make it yet? No. So this is going to be somewhat helpful getting through what's going on. And there's also a wiki you can go out to talking about scrolls. We've already got the table. You can make the flimsy journal if you need something right off the bat to call a spellbook. If you have not found one, Wandering Magician armor, so you can make various suits of armor. And then it kind of goes on to, this is something we've already crafted, and it's over there. That's the scroll. We did that as part of the quest line. So this will fill in the gaps between what the quest line is talking about and what's in the book, and then how to physically do some of this stuff. And this is again how to make different spell books. There's another armor you can make, and we've made the arcane cloth before. Again, it's any wool surrounded by arcane essence. But you can make this, and it's actually kind of got a pumpkin face to it. Yeah, and you need these blank runestones. Again, if you have one, you can make more, which is good to kind of hold on to one. So you can, okay, so with scrolls, let me actually talk about scrolls. So let's say we wanted to make, I really thought this was blaze, but let me so if I come over here, I need ink. I have ink in my, okay. So if I have ink, we're going to start with common. I can put ink in here and paper, and then put in, and we'll confirm, yeah, that is fire. This is the component to make fire spells. So if I look here, I can make any one of these spells at a level 1. A common level, let's just say it that way. These, there's a whole bunch down here. I need better ink for it. So if I take this ink out and I go get, say, now let's try rare. Let's jump up, and we'll also take this. So uncommon should unlock a few more, and we'll definitely make, yeah, like Meteor Storm. Meteor Storm is cool. This is uncommon, and so if you hover over the name here, not the symbol, but the name, it'll actually tell you what the spell does. So if you're really gung-ho on fire and you want to grab a bunch of fire spells, or you just want to see what's out there, you can come in here and do this, and it will show you what's available to you. And then by looking here, you don't even have to commit to anything. You can, put the ink in and say, okay, this is Blaze Storm. This, if I select it, I can see what it does. So it takes 10 mana, there's a cooldown, and it does 2.12 damage, takes 3 seconds to cast. So if I take this out and I put in uncommon, same one, Blaze Storm, now the damage is higher. The casting duration is slightly higher, and of course the mana cost is up as well. The higher you go up, we're going to do this again, Blaze Storm. So it's now a rare, this is the rare ink. More damage, longer cast, more mana, as you would expect. So each level of spell gets better. So starting out, you're going to have a lot of common and uncommon, and you're not going to have a lot of other things. And so if I wanted to make, say, ender spells. This is another good reason to get an ender spawner from a dungeon, is you can have unlimited ender pearls to do this with. Put this in, put the ink in, and you can see, you know, hey, I can do magic missile. What does that do? And again, most of these things are low level, you know, they take very little mana. Can take more than 10, but they take very little mana, and when you get up to the, you know, the epic and legendary, you're talking about 200 mana or more to cast a spell. So now I have a level 1 shadow slash scroll. So if you don't have one of these, and again, if you would go back into your inventory and check and look for, you do an @iron and do scroll, you can see all the scrolls. And if you actually do, say, you know, you can actually see, again, by these are all color coded. These are the fire, so you could go through and look at the fire, and then of course continue down because there's more fire. They're not grouped together, but you can see what's out there. So you can decide which spells you like, and then not only pick a focus here, which I have not done yet, I have points to spend. You can pick a focus here, but you can also set up your gear to take advantage of that. Everything from your if you happen to be using a cane like I am, or a staff or rod or whatever they're called, that I have here. I have the Artificer's Cane. You can actually enhance that for your school focus, or just enhance it in general. So there's all these different things to look at, you know, which spells are available, which might be your primary focus, and you can create scrolls that you don't have, which comes to the what do I do question of getting better ink, because you need better ink to get better scrolls. So that's where this kind of comes into play, is what do you do with some of these duplicate scrolls? So I have 2 of these, and let's say I have 2 of these, and you don't need 2. And so, or if you have a spell you just don't really want, you don't ever think you're going to cast it. So what you can do with that is, we're going to make some ink in the cauldron. So one way to make ink is to, let me put these where I can get at them, is to toss scrolls into the cauldron that's already filled with water, and then the water will convert into ink. So now if you look, instead of having 100 millibuckets of water, I have half that. I have 500 millibuckets and 500 millibuckets of common ink. So if I have a bottle, which I have somewhere, a bottle, here we go, I can actually right click and pull the ink out. So for every 250 millibuckets, so there's essentially 4 bottles in a bucket. And when you throw one scroll in, if the scroll converts to ink, and there's a 50-50 chance that it will, then you can pull that ink out with a bottle. And now I have, and it'll change from this looking thing to this. So now I have 2 common inks, which, yay, I've got more ink. But what if you don't want common? So let me, here, I've got 2 extras of these. So these are uncommon. You can do the same thing with this, and I'm only illustrating this to use up the ink that's in there, or the water that's in there, and make ink. So now I have nothing in the cauldron, and I somehow pulled out the water before it made the ink. That's not good. Okay, well, I leave it in there long enough for it to convert. Don't do what I did. Yeah, that's not the first time I've done that. So you can make your own ink, which means that now, you know, you can take scrolls that you're not using and get ink and then use the ink to make scrolls you really want. The other thing is if you have ink, you can take ink and directly put it in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, it's four glass bottles or vials of ink can actually make a full cauldron. Why do we want to do that? Well, what I want to do is I want to make that into, I want to advance it and make it into better ink. So I can take 4 commons, throw copper in, be patient and not try to do this too soon. And there we go. We have uncommon ink, 1 vial. So you can see if you're doing this, making, it's a 4 to 1. You need 4 of these plus a copper ingot to get 1 of these. Same thing going forward. So I would need 4 of these and an iron ingot to make 1 of these, which is the rare ink, and so on and so forth. So it's copper, iron, gold, and amethyst. So I got 1 out of there. So if I actually take 3 here, I'm going to take my 3 uncommons. Okay. You may or may not get a bottle back. I have found that that's kind of hit and miss. So I now take the iron ingot and we'll go ahead and advance this. It's kind of a neat thing where you can actually see the stuff float. And I have, if we look, rare ink, 1 vial. So I'm going to take more of that. So you can do a combination of these things where you start with water and you just start throwing scrolls in. You can put in up to 4 at a time, and then you can either pull out what you can actually empty it and keep storing them and then upgrade them as you have the resources. And I will put a gold in just to show you this works. My step assist, I keep ending up on top of the cauldron. Okay, and it's pink, and if you look at it, it says 250 millibuckets of epic ink. And then, so the numbers here are kind of daunting. To make 1 legendary, you need 4 of these, which translates into 16 of these, plus all the components. So if you had to have this, you'd have to have four conversions, which would be, 4 gold ingots plus 16 rare ink. And then, you know, this would be 64, so this is 256. So it takes more than I have here, if assuming I didn't have any, if I didn't have any of these inks. And I was trying to get from a bunch of common to a legendary and had nothing in between, it would take 256. Thankfully I have some uncommon, so that isn't quite as much, but yeah. And let's get the amethyst shard. Thankfully this is amethyst and not diamond. Amethyst is pretty useful to have, and then I have my 1 legendary. Ta-da! So if you don't think you want a lot of the lower level ones, you can definitely take advantage of the cauldron concept to get rid of your level 1 and level 2, especially if you're later on in the game and you're finding level 1 and level 2. Don't destroy them, don't not pick them up. They are going to be useful to you to make better ink. So that's how all that works. And let me put my bucket back. And so that's how we can go forward and make better ink. And then that's just going to bother me if that's not upright. Okay. So we can actually craft our own scrolls. And again, once you have those components, you can do that. The other thing we can do is we can make these orbs. Now I did this one already, the mana upgrade, previous episode. And you start off with this empty orb, and you then, let me get my crafting. So if we look at how this is used, you can see that you surround it with 8 of these, and you get a special upgrade orb that you can put on an item. The upgrade orbs work on the spellbook. And I know they work on armor pieces. They also work on the magic staffs that you have, canes, those type of things. They do not seem to work on tools, so your sword, your bow. But what you can do with that is you can actually take your sword. Now my sword is fairly well decked out with uberness, and you can actually add a scroll to it. So what you may want to do is something like, if you're mining, you can put haste, or you can put haste on a bow or a sword. You could come up with other spells that are offensive or defensive that you can put on your weapons and your tools, so that you can have that work for you. With this, now this is a mana upgrade, so let me show you. You can put it on your spellbook. So I, between episodes, did take my spellbook, which was it was one of these, and I emptied it out of all the scrolls. Now I have this really amazing dragon skin spellbook, which is probably the one I'm going to use because I like the underspells. They look interesting, and it's nice to get a little bump on spell power there. And it's got 200 mana, so it is a good one to have. The blaze one is also very nice. As a spellbook, it has 10 slots, it has firepower and 200 mana. Any of these literally, even if you're starting out with the flimsy, which has 5, well, the flimsy and the ironbound are 2 of the lower level ones, and like a starter book, so you're probably not going to have these things yet to be able to play around with this. But when you're getting into books that have 10 slots, this is kind of the intermediate one, the apprentice, and these are the upper ones. When you're getting to one that has 10 and 12 slots and it's more advanced and bigger perks, that's probably the one you want to invest in doing this. So this has 12 spell slots, which is amazing. It's got Ender spell power, and it has 200 mana. This is the one I'm going to try. So this gives me 50 additional mana. So if I put this here and look, it goes from 200 mana to 250 mana. And it's like, well, that's nice because it gives you a bump. Again, to make this, though, I needed 8 of these runes specific to mana upgrade. So these are an investment, a big investment to make one of these. But what you can do is you can add that here, and I'm going to wait until I make some more, but yes, you can do all of that and then continually upgrade. You can also upgrade, like here's my staff. I don't think I've upgraded my staff yet. So this has nothing in the way of additional mana, and this now has 50 mana. So it keeps all the original stuff and then adds in mana, which wasn't even here, which is a nice add that you can do. But you can also, you know, put something else on here as well. Any of these upgrades will work on this. And again, as I mentioned, if you have a sword, let me go just randomly grab this. It doesn't even matter. I'll grab this. Not even sure what it is. What is it? Dragon's Breath. Okay, so if you have a sword, you can't put this on there. You get the X. It won't let you put an upgrade orb on that, but you could put a spell on it. So now if you look, it went from my very snazzy netherite sword to this. And this is called an arcane netherite sword because it came with +3 spell power on it. And then I just kept adding things to it. So it can be imbued. It actually says so, can be imbued. And it's got 1 of 1, which means this is it. This is the imbuement that you get. And I've imbued it with Dragon Breath. Or I will if I pull it out of there, but I don't want to. That was a random one just for, so let me get, here's a pickaxe, shovel, axe, hoe, bow. I'm going to grab that just for show and tell. And, yeah. So if I try to do this with a spell, it's going to say no. This is not something that can be, even though it would be cool to have it, you can't upgrade the mining gadget. You know, and you cannot do other things like I can't put, you know, artifacts and relics. You can't put scrolls on them, or for that matter, upgrade orbs. But what you can do is, say with the bow, you can put a spell. Oh, you can't put a spell. Can I put an orb? No, it can't. Okay. Well, this doesn't want to have it. It might be the spell too, because it's an offensive spell. But you can put something on your sword. So that is handy to know. If you have a named sword that's already upgraded, you can't. Like the Spellbreaker sword we made, you can't add anything to that. But this does give you the opportunity to, whoops, put an enchantment on your sword. So you can have that as a perk. And if you don't use a shield, you can have a staff, or you can switch it around and have that way. But this, if you're holding it, you get all the perks that are on it. So let me, I don't even have any spells in. Let's see here. Ray of Frost. Icicle. Okay, let's. So if I go to put, so I have an empty spellbook. I put it in here confirming it's empty. All these slots need to happen. I can go ahead and put my icicle scroll in here. You just click the button, the icicle scroll goes in, and then I can, yeah, the book comes, if you step away from the table, the book comes out. If I had this equipped, which is, it equips down in the spellbook slot, then when I come to the table, it's the default. Even if I have other spellbooks here, I can take this out, but if it's already equipped, then it'll show up. So even though I removed it from the table, it's still in there. So it assumes what you want to do is the one you have equipped. So I now have this one. If I pull up my spell wheel, I've got it here. As soon as I get the other 11 spells in there, this will be completely filled. And casting, if I remember which key I used, let me actually get to a bigger space. Yeah. So having this with cooldown reduction and casting time reduction means that I'm casting faster, and I actually have 300 mana. And I haven't done anything really special. I haven't upgraded these items yet, nor have I. So I haven't upgraded the staff. I haven't upgraded the book. The other thing we can do is we can take. Does that have health on it? I'm not sure why that complained. Let me take this off. Okay. So I have boots. So let's say I wanted to add this to boots. You can add orbs to your armor, whether you're using mage robes or actual armor. So I can add here, I know this has a lot going on, but what you will see in this one is between swim speed and explosion knockback resistance, there's 50 mana because of this. So if you want to increase the amount of mana you have, you can, if you had 4 pieces of armor, obviously, you can increase it, if you have this, by 200 just by putting 4 of these on your armor, 1 on each piece. So that also means you have to be able to create this. And this is, you put arcane essence around this to make this. So it's one of the easier ones because you should have an abundance of arcane essence. But again, you're going to need 8 of these to make 1 of these. And so again, things stack up very quickly as far as how many resources you need. You're going to need 8 of the blank templates and 64 arcane essence and this empty upgrade to make it. So making 4 of these is not insignificant. You're talking about 256 essence plus 32 blank templates plus 4 of these orbs. Is it worth it to get 200 extra mana? Yeah. Is it doable, when you're first starting out? No. But it's definitely something to work towards to be able to do. So that is what I'm going to try to do, is make some of these orbs and attach them to my armor. The other thing is I'm going to need to make more of the blank templates. So yeah, and I also need to make more pufferfish. So I did look through my inventory and I found that I had some generic fish, which I thought I had. Don't think the cooked salmon actually works. I think the other one is called tuna. And I don't have any of that, but I have salmon. And so we're going to see if that works. Because I was trying to make a protective rune that actually adds magic resistance. Because I seem to be getting more and more casters wanting to come hurt me. Rather than just a straight frontal attack with a sword. Which actually I'd rather have that nowadays than all the casters. Especially some of the ice magic is brutal. You get the freezing and I don't know, they drop ice blocks on you and all kind of very restrictive spells, where fire focuses on damage, ice focuses on more stopping you in your tracks and crowd control and that type of thing, which is great if you're the one casting them, but not so great if you're on the receiving end. Because you can't really cast spells and you can't actually do any physical attacks because you're stuck in a block of ice. That's why the what do they call it? The ice mages, whatever their official name is, are so devastatingly brutal. So, what I'm going to do here is find... I need bamboo first. So I'm going to try to make some more of the pufferfish because I need a... Whoops, that's not where that goes. If you put in fish, anything that's technically a fish, so not squid or anything like that, but fish, you should be able to make pufferfish. And I'm going to need 32 to make the other 4 things. Just to make one. It seems like it's a lot of pyramid sort of stacking that has to happen to create some of this stuff. And I'm out of... I hope I have another pufferfish in here. But if I do... Okay, so I can make... Let me put these in there. I need 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, just enough. Very excited. And so I take this. Okay, and I get 1 upgrade orb for spell resistance. So I can put this on... I can put it on my cane, I can put it on any of my armor pieces, I can put it on my spellbook. And in fact, let me put this... It's not my spellbook, but let me, for reference purposes, put that there. Okay, so that's the instruction book. Speaking of which, this does have a section that talks about the different kinds of books and casting implements, is like this thing that I have here. These, you know, we made Greybeard's staff. I'm holding the Artificer's cane, which is a staff. But you can make, you know, different... yeah, I think this is the king where we're going to try to... The dead king. I think he drops the blood staff. So there's something to look forward to, and it talks about the ink and the various levels in here. So this is helpful, but it does not necessarily fully explain everything. But you do kind of get a sense of what the different schools do. Yeah, and here's where I got the blaze rod from, and you can actually see it's a blaze rod. So there's ice, lightning, fire, holy ender, blood, and evocation, and then there's and nature. And then you've got the other things, which is eldritch, and the ones they don't even talk about, like shadow and sand and those type of things, radiance. So good reference to have, and plus this wiki. So go take advantage of that. With scrolls, it doesn't tell you a lot here about them other than this little bit. So useful to read over to get a gist of what's going on, but I think when you have the scroll table and you go to actually start making your scrolls, start off with common just to get a hang of it. Common and paper and whatever the item is, like a blaze rod or an ender pearl. And then, yeah, you pick what you want to do here and you get your scroll, which is kind of a nice way to select it. It isn't quite so random. And then to put it in, you just put the scroll here, click the button, and it goes wherever you want. If you want to try to organize them, like you want to have your ice spells here and your fire, or you want to have ice spells and then fire and then ender, or whatever, you want to have various things, you can actually select when you see the yellow. So let's say I wanted to do ender spells first. If you click on where the spell is, you can take it out. And that's how I emptied out my spell book before. I just selected each one and pulled the scroll out from this side, this slot. But if I say want to have my ice spells on the second row, I can put that here, select whichever one I want, and then add it, and it'll show up there. So I can have ender spells and then ice and then fire, say, or maybe I only want 2 ice spells, and I could put them wherever I want them in the book. So there's an organization to it. So when I pull up my wheel, this obviously only has 1 spell again. But let's go put an ender spell in again. It doesn't matter. So if I want this ender spell here, I can do that. Select the square, put the spell here, click the button, and now it's there. So when I go to do my spell wheel, this, because it's the first spell, is, well, or it's before this one, will show on top. So ordering here is with reference to where they are here. And to illustrate that even further, let me make sure this is a different spell. Magic missile. Because this one is, yeah, that's Dragon's Breath. Okay. I couldn't remember which one I had added. So if I do that, and then I do my wheel, this is the first one, this is the second one, and this is the next one. And as you add them, they will fill in accordingly. So if I put in lightning, again, it doesn't matter which one at this point. It's just illustration purposes. This one, and I want it to be, say, here. I can add it. Again, wheel. It's going to come before this one. So they are literally displaying in the order where you added them. And it goes across this way. So this comes before this. So ordering here might be to your advantage. Like what you do before a fight and what you do during a fight and what you do after a fight kind of thing. So you might put haste here before a fight and heal during a fight, and or offensive spells here and then heal after the fight kind of thing, or however you want to organize them. You could group them by schools, you can group them by level. Yeah, it all works. There. And yeah, so that's all of that. So yeah, lots of orbs to create. I don't know that I have all the resources for them actually. And I still need to find a way to get this translated. I think I know what I'm doing, I just need to find the right guy to do it with. Oh, and I did want to put this paper. I'm keeping a lot of paper here, just because. What else? Talked about that. Oh, the Wayward compass is also the other thing, is to go find... Oh. I casted something. I have no idea what I did. Don't do that. So I can actually, just like a regular compass, can figure out what direction I need to go in to go find the dead king, which is where the blood staff, when I kill him, it will drop. And there should be some other assorted goodies that drop with him when I kill him. But when you're fighting the Iron Spells guys, they're casters. They're all casters. So yeah, so that's something to do too. Which, not now, later. So I believe you can add, when you're adding orbs, I believe there is a max number you can add to an item. And I think the number is 3. After that, it won't let you. And so if you can add an item, you should be able to add 3. Up to 3. And if you can't add 1, then you can't add any. I mean, it won't, I mean, like I said with the sword, you can't add any to the sword, so it won't, yeah. So there's no option for adding more. So again, when you want to stack up things, again, you can do something with your staff, your spell book, and your 4 pieces of armor, whether they're armor or caster armor, which are generally like robes, outfits. I think that is it. Trying to think if there was anything else. Yeah, as I said, the manual is helpful to get some information out of it, but it is not necessarily fully explained. So hopefully the explanation here between putting spells in the book and taking them out and reorganizing them and creating scrolls, crafting ink, destroying scrolls to get ink, using ink to make better ink, and what to do with the arcane anvil in terms of not only putting upgrade orbs on items, but also imbuing, like your sword, with a scroll. Yeah, so, and I think it actually, yeah, so I think that's it. Also, water nearby is helpful to be able to bucket in. So if you can craft a sink and you've already made the sink with unlimited water, that makes it easier. But even an unlimited water source, which is just a 2x2 square with 2 buckets of water in it, you can use that instead if you'd like to fill up your cauldron. Okay, there it is. Hope you enjoyed, and the magic layer is coming together a little bit. I'm hoping to get into other, well, try to finish this up, which would actually be getting into the gems and jewelry thing, which is where these things come into play. And yeah, deal with making some rings and things that I can use that I might want to actually trade out. Rings and necklace, and I think I mentioned this at the last episode. I may want to trade out this necklace for something that I can make myself that has armor toughness on it, but doesn't necessarily have mining speed. Mining speed's not a concern. I'd rather have something else. So being able to craft this, and this was actually crafted with these items, 3 rhinestones and a chain. So obviously the better the chain, the better the quality, and then each rhinestone gives some perk. And so the topaz gives you the toughness, sapphire gave me dodge, and peridot gave me mining speed. I didn't craft this, I found this, and yeah, so being able to make something that you can choose exactly what it gives you is helpful. So we will work on that at a later episode and make our own jewelry and necklaces, rings and necklaces. So again, same thing with the rings. This happens to be, this is an Ars Nouveau ring, which I happen to like, and this is also an ours, but I have two that are actually iron gems, and yeah, I like the fact that this one does freeze. Because again, it's a crowd control thing, and this one has more armor toughness and crit damage. So being able to take one of these and make it even better would be great. And if I take one of these, it's iron already, one of these iron ones. And just to show you here, if I put this in and I try to do like mana, yeah, it doesn't work. This mechanic does not work for crafted rings. So because the ring itself is got the perks, because you chose what items, which gems to put in there. Yeah. So something fun to play with. And we'll get into that at a later episode. So, this is Cuberized. I do hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, I appreciate a like. It really helps me out. And subscribe so you can get alerted to new content. Subscribing also helps me out as well. Gets more attention to the channel, which is a good thing. And for questions and comments, please put them below. I do read and reply to everything. I appreciate you joining me today on this episode of Iron Spells. Hopefully you will find the mod enjoyable and embrace it and start working through the quest line. I'm almost to the point where I've finished it. In fact, we'll take a look at that real quick before I sign off. Iron Spells, it's here, and there we go. So Iron Spells is here. What I have not done is the Villager Bible, which is this piece here. There is also someone I need to kill, I believe, which is here. And then we have the Wayward Compass, which will get me to the Dead King and will get me to the these two items, which is the Blood Staff and the Necronomicon. Dun dun dun. Blood magic. Other than that, I believe everything here has been completed. And when this is done, when all of it is done, the Iron Spells trophy is here. So we already have the Just Dire Things. Looking forward to getting this one. So a little bit more to do to be able to do that, but we're getting closer. Yeah, hopefully with the information about how to take advantage of all the scrolls you're finding, you can yeah, definitely take advantage of that and get better spells and better ink. So, Cuberized, signing off. Everyone have a great day. Thank you so much for joining, and looking forward to having you back again for the next episode. Take care.